पातु वो निकषग्रावा मतिहेम्नः सरस्वती प्राज्ञेतर परिच्छेदम वचसैव करोति या. I welcome you all on behalf of Samvidya Institute of Cultural Studies to the annual Dr. Shobhana Gokhale Memorial Lecture Series. I would like to introduce the institute and Dr. Shobhana Gokhale in a brief. Samvidya Institute of Cultural Studies is a public charitable trust established by the researchers and students of Sanskrit and Indology in 2010. Professor Shrikant Bahulkar, a well-known authority in the field of Vedic studies and Buddhist Tantrism, was instrumental in forming this institute. Since its inception, Samvidya has engaged itself in a number of activities such as publications of books, arranging lectures, seminars, and workshops. Two annual lecture series have been started by the Institute. One of the series is Dr. Shobhana Gokhale Memorial Lecture, for which we have gathered here today. Although many of us know the contribution of Dr. Gokhale very well, I take this opportunity to introduce her once again. She was born in Bapat family on 26th February 1928 in Amravati, Maharashtra. She was fortunate to have Professor P.V. Bapat, her uncle, and Professor V.V. Mirashi as her teacher. After her marriage with Mr. Lakshman Gokhale, she came to Pune and joined the Deccan College. She completed her PhD under the guidance of Professor H.D. Sankalia, the father of Indian archaeology. Her work in the field of Indian epigraphy and numismatics, especially on the Satavahana dynasty, brought her fame and won many laurels. She also worked on the inscriptions and coins of Kshatrapas, Traikutaka, Abhira, Rashtrakuta dynasties as well. Even after her retirement from Deccan College, she was actively engaged in her research pertaining to epigraphy and numismatics. She was doing her research literally up to her last breath. She passed away on 22nd June 2013. A long-awaited publication of her last project on Junnar inscription has also been now published by Bhandarkar Oriental Research Institute, Pune. Samvidya Institute conferred the honorary fellowship before her sad demise on Dr. Shobhana Gokhale. With her strong support from her family members, especially her daughter, Dr. Anjali Fadke, Samvidya Institute of Cultural Studies started the lecture series in her name. This lecture series basically is a gathering of scholars. Every year, we ask a scholar to deliver the lecture pertaining to the field of epigraphy or numismatics, as the case may be. Dr. Vasundhara Filioza, S.H. Ripti, Y. Subbarayalu, K.K. Thaplial, Devendra Handa, Gautam Sengupta, Shailendra Bhandare, and Dr. Pankaj Tandon have delivered the lecture in this lecture series till date. This year, we are fortunate to have Sanjeev Kumarji as a speaker for delivering this lecture. I would like to introduce Dr. Sanjeev Kumar as in a brief manner. We usually hold this position and call different scholars to deliver the lecture as the names you could have seen. But this time we have a dynamic personality who is scholar as well as a businessman. He is independent researcher, numismatist, and historian. He is fondly referred as Mr. Sanjeev Kumar Shivli as well. His work on Gupta coinage is well known and renowned on international level. His published academic papers and book on Gupta dynastic history has made him renowned in India and worldwide. This book is this book goes by the name Treasures of the Gupta Empire, which was released in 2017 at the National Museum, Delhi, at the hands of Minister of Culture, Dr. Mahesh Sharma, and Director General of Archaeological Survey of India, Dr. Rakesh Tiwari, Dr. K.N. Dikshit, and Dr. B.R. Mani. We are glad to tell you that our Prime Minister, Narendra Modi ji, invited Mr. Kumar to his residence in 2018 to recognize and appreciate the importance of this book to read and to research in the field of history of ancient India. Mr. Kumar has demonstrated an unwavering commitment to preserving and sharing India's rich history through his various roles and accomplishments. His decades of research, summarized and presented in his book and research papers, continues to shed the light on the history of India, inspiring and fueling the imaginations of future generations who dream of exploring the rich history. Growing up in India, Mr. Kumar was always fascinated with the intricate designs and actions seen depicted on the Gupta dynasty's coins and the hidden meaning behind these designs and the Brahmi script. He marveled at the coin collections showcased in the coin gallery at the National Museum in Delhi, and his passion to research the subject grew stronger over the years. He studied in India and then went on to higher studies in the US, studying finance management and history at University of Illinois. And during these formative years, he started his entrepreneurial career while still in college. The company that Mr. Kumar started in 1983 eventually became a global MNC over a 32 years period. Mr. Kumar sold off all his holdings of the company and exited in June 2014 and to devote time to his passion, that is the study of history of ancient India. So we are very glad to have this multifaceted personality, a businessman, the researcher, and the scholar of numismatics, that is numismatist, Mr. Sanjeev Kumar. He was awarded the IAPN Book Prize by the International Association of Professional Numismatists for this book, Treasures of the Gupta Empire. The Royal Asiatic Society of Great Britain and Ireland awarded the fellowship to Sanjeev Kumarji in August 2016. Without taking much time, I request Sanjeevji to proceed with today's speech. Thank you.
Thank you, Kareji. Thank you so much for this wonderful introduction. And thank you for inviting me to give this lecture. I am truly honored, and it is with great humbleness that I'll try to explain to everybody what my passion is and what made me write this book. So let me share my screen and share. Let's see. Yes, share that, and then share this, and hopefully can you see now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, excellent. So hello, everyone. I'm truly honored that I was given this opportunity. So without further ado, I'd like to just share with you my thoughts. When Kariji first invited me for this honor to give this lecture, in his email, he said, please give me a title. So, I'm not from the academic world, even though today I've become an academic. I thought, what is going to be a very interesting title for this lecture? And my wife suggested, how about Love Letters from Ancient India? So I thought that was great, because the original title of my book was not Treasures of Gupta Empire. It was going to be called A Love Affair with Gold Coins from India. But then again, the Treasures of Gupta Empire seemed to be a much better title. So anyway, so the topic of today's lecture is decoding the mystery that we see within the coins struck by the Gupta kings in the 4th through the 6th century. So Love Letters from Ancient India, that's the title. So when you talk about love letters, first of all, can everybody see the screen okay? Kariji?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So, why love letters? What are love letters? Love letters are basically, what do they include when you hear about love letters? Well, they are hidden messages. When two people are communicating, or there's this there's things in the message that is uh, depicted or shown, but not said out completely, right? There are beautiful memories that are shared. There is a concept of falling in love and celebrating love, celebrating victories, celebrating uh, downfalls. That's what love letters are all about, right? When you Google love letters and say, what are the main characteristics of love letters? It says, the psychological effect of love letters is activate areas in the brain responsible for emotion, attention, motivation, memory, supports stress reduction. Well, that's really what my passion was to study this subject. It was about, getting myself excited when I had found some new discoveries, motivated me to continue working, uh, definitely took a lot of stress away from my daily life of global travel and all these other things I was involved in. So that is why I call this love letters. So let's talk a little about what the subject was that I was researching. you know when I, as a history student in college and going through college, the books that have come out in the last 40 years, these are all luminaries that contributed to the Gupta dynasty history. Uh, of course, Professor Tapial, his, Altaker, Dr. Chabra, P.L. Gupta, D.C. Sarkar, you're all familiar with them. These were all books written, but you know, when you look through the books, you see that there's a lot of assumptions thrown in, a lot of speculative assertions thrown in. And it was not because they wanted to do that, it was because hard data was very difficult to access. You couldn't go into museums and take pictures. You couldn't have access to 1,000 images. You had to go through. Deccan College, of course, has the best library in Pune for this kind of work, but you had to spend months trying to go through old files and old uh, uh, dusty publications that people hadn't touched in 40 years to find an image of a coin that was discovered in 1947. So with the digital age, it opened up a whole new access and made things reachable. People like, P.L. Gupta, Chabra, Altekar, they did not have this option. Professor Thapial's book on Gupta dynasty, of course, is one of the best books written and probably, should be a must read for anybody on the subject. Since Dr. Altekar in 1957 came out with his book on Gupta coinage, there's been 65 years or so. And since then, so many new hoards have come out, new coins, new inscriptions, new copper plates, seals. But there was nobody who had assimilated all of that information and then tried to look at it together and say, well, what does it show us? What does this mean? When P.L. Gupta wrote this about Skandagupta's gold coinage, debased gold coinage, or somebody else made an assertion about the Ramagupta Kachagupta feud. Were those true? How can we prove it was right or wrong? And what facts do we have? Assertions are okay. It's okay to make these assumptions, but do we really have facts which can show and prove to us that something like this happened or didn't happen? Current books, as I'm sure you are all aware, if you take 6 books and put them all together, most of the material is copy and paste from old publications. It was very little new primary research being done. And this was a travesty as far as India's history was concerned. And this was a void that helped me, motivated me to really get out there and start putting through all the information that I had collected and researched and try to see if I can put this into a book. Now, primary research and real data is very important. Copy and paste, it doesn't help us. For Gupta dynasty coinage, Gupta dynasty history, we don't have manuscripts that they left behind. We get our clues from whatever little inscriptions we can find, whatever little seals that are found. Then, of course, gold coins and silver coins and lead coins, they have the inscriptions on it. They have clues hidden in them. And that is what I was focusing on, because that was what was my uh, trump card to see how I could solve these mysteries that we were all trying to figure out. So when I launched the book, I really did not really fully understand what had been created. All I had really wanted to do was put all my research into a book. But when I got to India, this 30 years of research, basically everybody was so appreciative of what I had done, and it basically took on a life of its own. I had no intention of having a book released in India. I just brought the book to India. First 6 copies that I had printed in the US. And then before I knew it, it was, at the National Museum being released by the Minister of Culture, the DGASI, K.N. Dixit, G, that you are all aware of. They were, they all insisted on releasing the book. And then later on, PM Modi ji heard about it and, called me in for a 15-minute, meeting, and which lasted an hour and a half. And he was so engrossed in the book, so many questions, so many deep questions. He made a comment. He said, Sanjeev ji, how can you sit in United States and be able to write such an important book for India? And I explained to him, of course, how long it took and the research, but I also made a point to him and said, it's very difficult to go into museums and get access to information that is hidden away in these museums and, institutions. And the next thing I told him I was not even allowed to take photographs in the museums. And next thing I know, next month after that conversation, ASI issued a memo to all the museums. Photography was allowed on all ASI installations. So these kind of things opened up, not just for future researchers, but international researchers, now that through digital access to the museum websites, they can now get a lot more information. This book fully documents the history of the Gupta dynasty. When it was published, it captured thousands and thousands of coins and what was in there. But the most important thing is, even 5-6 years after this book has come out, we still have not come across anything that we can say was left out of the book. So it's a true testament to how complete the book and the data was. So now getting into what was in the book and what this research came out and showed us. The gold, silver, and copper coins, lead coins that the Gupta dynasty hit, it basically built together a jigsaw puzzle and was able to, for the first time, confirm to us, who were these kings? When did they rule? What was the chronology of the Gupta kings? For the first time ever in history of our Indian research, I was able to do an X-ray fluorescence analysis of a good collection of maybe 200 or so gold coins of most of the entire Gupta kings. And it was able to look at the metal analysis to see from year to year to year, from king to king, how did the metal content change? What was going on at that time in history when they were minting these coins and the gold increased or decreased? Why did it increase? This was very helpful, and it is a study that is available, of course, on academia. I published it, made it, it's available to everybody, and it's truly one of the best analyses done. The evolution of iconography of goddess Ardaksho into Lakshmi. This was the first book to actually document it and actually visually show you from image to image from during the time of Samudragupta, how a goddess Ardaksho actually turns into goddess Lakshmi during the 4th century. This is fascinating. Chandragupta's ascent to the throne in 383, if you look at books, they use a different date. But, using the Mathura pillar inscription and truly understanding what it really says, you can date it to 383. And why is that important? Because then a few years later, we can see with dates actually shown on coins that in 398, the campaign to against the Kshatrapas started. So these are all important things like Skandaguptas, every book, Wikipedia, you go in there, they all talk about 455 AD, Junagadh rock inscription. Well, Junagadh rock inscription happened after the fact that Skandagupta had already started the military campaign. So these are all important points. Why 448 AD? Because we have lead coins with that date where he was actually producing coins. You can only produce coins when you're in control of a region, right? So he's producing coins with 448 AD. So he was actually in control of the army, the military, and pretty much in control of the Gupta throne. He may have taken it in 455, but his power actually started in 448 AD. So these are all things, Khariji talked about, how I started out initially, it's a long journey, so I'll quickly skip through this. This is, the hidden messages. What are the hidden messages? Hidden messages are uh, basically propaganda by the kings, right? Their desire for power and legitimacy, their control of territories, their religious beliefs. That's what they're putting on the coins. Their wars of territorial expansion and control of trade routes and trade ports. The wars of succession and fratricide. When we talk about fratricide, which is, sibling killing sibling to gain power, we don't talk about it in terms of our ancient history. We only talk about it in foreign, countries. This happened. It was happening in, the Chandragupta, Ramagupta thing was a very dramatic case of propaganda, which basically resulted in Chandragupta II killing his older brother to become king. The quest for expansion, the trade routes, development of arts and culture, which is, of course, the Allahabad pillar inscription, the designs. So going quickly, skipping through all that, let's start this with historical backdrop. So what we see here is a coin of Kushan coin from earliest of the Kushan coins showing Shiva and Nandi, right? So prior to the Guptas, with the Kushans controlling the present day Gandhara, that Pakistan, Afghanistan, all the way up to Varanasi, Mathura, of course, being their winter capital. This was the iconography there was developing, trying to figure out what was Shiva going to look like in its final form. What was Vishnu going to look like in its final form? What was Lakshmi going to look like in her final form? And this was continuing to evolve. And what we find is, the coins that we find in the Mathura region versus coins that we find in the greater Punjab or maybe even the Gandharan region, there's difference in iconography very easily visible. But once the Kushan dynasty died off, beginning of the 3rd century, we start seeing a void develop in North India. And as you're all aware, with void, new powerful forces come in to basically fill in that void. But the void was not just in power, it was also in cultural advancement and religious advancement. So, here we are seeing a picture of a sculpture from 2nd century, in that Pakistan, Kushan controlled region, Shiva and Uma. And, the Huvishka king issues a very interesting coin showing Osho, which is, the earlier representation of Shiva, and Uma. So we are seeing this happening. What is Osho? Osho is basically a combination of all the traits. We are seeing a chakra here. We are seeing a trishul here. It's possibly attributes of Shiva, some Vishnu. There is these are developing in that region. And this is all happening during that time. Now, this is a terracotta from, Mathura region. Uh, Actually, I can't see the screen here. Just a minute. Sorry. Let me just, yeah. This is in National Museum, and you'll see, it has different attributes, and they're all sort of mixed up. This all got standardized during the Gupta period. During the Gupta period, we see all of these things, actually, every one of these deities start fitting into their own little attributes. Okay, sorry, I'm missing a slide here. So what happens is in 1957, we find a hoard is found in Bayana, which you all are familiar with if you know Gupta history. What this hoard finally was able to provide to researchers was a somewhat complete catalog of coins struck from the earliest Gupta kings to the up to Skandagupta. And of course, not all the coins made it to the researchers. Some were, melted by the villagers who found it. But this Bayana hoard basically became the basis. What you're seeing here is some of the coins from the Bayana hoard were from the Maharaja of Bharatpur. He was actually using them as jewelry on as a wrist band, or, sorry, wait. This is actually right here, a button on his coat that he actually took off and gave the button to one of the ambassadors to US in the 60s. There's so many coins, he donated some to different museums, and they got scattered. They got scattered out as gifts to relatives, ended up, 40 years later in different auctions. So this catalog, while it was documented by Altekarji, the coins had actually spread out. And if you look at Altekarji's catalog, the coin is a little tiny little 1 centimeter image. But to actually understand what the coin was, it was very important to have access to some of these digital images of the coins, so you could blow them up, read the inscriptions, read the clues hidden in there. So after Kushan, we start, with this void that I was talking about, in the Mathura, Kannauj, Kashi region, North India. This new dynasty emerges, right, called Gupta dynasty. It started, of course, by the marriage alliance of the Lichavi prince Kumar Devi. And the first few gold coins are struck by the king, right, Chandragupta I. So why was this important? Because for the first time in India, we started actually seeing codification of the deities. In the past, the Kushans had used a goddess Ardaksho on the back of their coins. And actually the coins said Ardaksho. But now the Gupta coins, when they came and Gupta struck their gold coins, they showed a similar deity, goddess seated on a bench or a throne, holding a cornucopia in her hand here. But they didn't write the word Ardaksho. They actually wrote their own Biruda. And this, for example, this one says Param Bhagavato, and they didn't identify her as Lakshmi by writing Shri Lakshmi. They actually started over the years adding attributes to the image, which that helped us identify eventually that goddess to become Lakshmi. The first few coins struck, this is the first coin struck by Chandragupta I, very similar to a Vaikuntha scene, where he is shown offering something, a ring, something to the queen. And behind the queen here, it says Shri V and then Krama. And this was the first Gupta king to actually take on the term Vikramaditya. And Vikramaditya is a term that was commonly used by successive kings across India's history. And there's not just a single king called Vikramaditya. And the reason is because, in 300, 400 AD, if you were in a far off village, it was much easier to say, this edict has come from King Vikramaditya than to try to explain this has come from King Skandagupta, who was the grandson of this king and son of that king. It was just easier to say Vikramaditya. Of course, Vikramaditya embodied all powerful, benevolent, pious. So all of these things were rolled into this term Vikramaditya. And Chandragupta I issues the first coin very early in his reign. And if you can see the front of the coin here, it actually has very similar features to the early Kushan coins. It has this conical head, headdress, the clothing, the armored clothing that he's got on. He's got a havan here. He's dropping samagri. So, and here he's holding what? Right? We'll see this. So these are all very important clues that help us understand what was going on at that time. These gold coins, very rare. There are only 4 or 5 of them, and they're all mostly in museums and one private collection. Here is another coin struck by Chandragupta I, and then, of course, continued to be struck by his son Samudragupta, celebrating the marriage alliance of his father and mother. Here it says Shri, Kumara, Devi, and then Chandra Gupta under the arm. And he's also holding something in his hand, right? In his left hand. In the right hand, he's offering something to the queen here. Different coins show something. So different coins will show, maybe a sindoor dibbi, or it'll show a ring, or maybe some round laddu, round object is like a laddu. Different coins have different representation, but he's offering something to the queen. But more importantly, you will see as we go further that there are so many clues hidden here, right? In the back, we see a goddess. She's seated on a lion. Well, who is she? It says Lichavaya, yeah, but it doesn't show, say, is she Simavahani Lakshmi? Is she Durga? Who is she? She's just a goddess. Well, of course, prior to this, the goddess seated on a lion was struck by Kushans, which was the goddess Nana of the Iranian Persian origin. But more importantly, here we also see a throne, a backdrop of a throne, right? The initial coins showed goddess Ardaksho also seated on a throne. So these are clues that we started, we get from the coins. So, when we look at this little long pole here, well, what is it? Well, it's actually a Chandradhwaj. But Guptas were Vaishnavas, right? There's a Shaivite symbolism here, right? So we have a Chandradhwaj. And here is a goddess seated. She's seated on a lion. She's got a cornucopia in her hand. What does the cornucopia mean? It is, horn of plenty, goddess of fortune, goddess of plenty. So these are all clues that we start seeing here. Correct? So his son, Chandragupta I's son, Samudragupta, comes to power as a young king, and issues a coin with a javelin on it. See this javelin right here? This is the same javelin that was used by Chandragupta I, which on other coins, it shows a javelin point down here. So Samudragupta, but instead of issuing it as a coin with the royal couple behind, he actually issues a coin which shows a javelin, but a goddess on the back. And we'll see that in a second. But more importantly here, we see the Garud, right? Garud on a stand right here. We see this halo, correct, around the king. We see Samudra Gupta. And we see a javelin. How do we know it's a javelin? How do we know? Because we see this in sculptures. We see this little, the round part of it, the sharp part of it, the spearhead, it's all there. And what do we see on the back? We see basically a goddess seated. But this goddess is also holding a cornucopia in her hand, right? And it says Parakrama. And this is very similar to the goddess that was on Kushan coins, goddess Ardaksho. These javelin coins, why were they struck? Well, they were struck because when Chandragupta won, I'm sorry, when Samudragupta came to power, his main goal was to expand the empire. The territorial expansion was a military phase of his rule. This early part of Samudragupta's entire um, rule was basically expanding the empire, conquering the territories, and the Allahabad pillar inscription beautifully documents that. And the javelin type basically is telling them, I'm coming, I have a powerful army, and please get out of my way. And the javelin basically is a uh, military weapon, right? So this is a javelin type. It was struck by Chandragupta I, Samudragupta. This is a very rare javelin type where he's actually attacked. Chandragupta II is attacking a lion with it. Lion symbology, of course, where our lion found Gir Forest, Gujarat region. Kshatrapas were there. Chandragupta II, of course, started the assault. Samudragupta did not. So these are all symbology hidden in there. And of course, then we see on the back of Kartikeya type coins of Kumar Gupta also the javelin spear shown there, correct? So here is a Kartikeya type coin of struck by Kumar Gupta, and again, beautiful representation of a spear. Here is a Tiger Slayer coin struck by Samudragupta. Tiger Slayer coin, why Tiger Slayer? Well, he was now entering the Gangatic plain, conquering territories there where the tiger is found. This is symbology showing that, look, here I am powerful, I'm a young, powerful king. I have the resources to conquer this region. You should get out of my way. And by the way, he's saying, I am blessed by the goddess, Ganga, goddess Ganga here on a makar. She's holding a beautiful lotus in her hand, and in front of me is the Chandradhwaj. I have the divine right to conquer your lands. Get out of my way. This is what Samudragupta is signifying in this Tiger Slayer coin. And of course, we are all familiar with Makar and the mythology around it. And these are the Kushan era Mathura region, the North Indian representation of Makara. And this is shown right here on the coin. And of course, beautiful representation of Ganga, goddess Ganga. Then he also issues another coin in this military phase, which is the battle axe type. He's talking about him being the god of death. He's holding the battle axe of the god of death in his hand. The battle axe, basically warning the kings, you have to get out of my way. But please look, we don't have a Garud here. We have a Chandradhwaj, right? Very important to understand, the religious implications of that. So we have a battle axe coin, which in the back of it, if you will see, a very important representation of a goddess. But this is not goddess Ardaksho. She's got a cornucopia. But look at this. Slowly, we have lotus petals starting to appear. They weren't there before. This is mid, around late late in his reign. We're starting to see these lotus petals appear. That is showing attributes of Lakshmi are finally getting codified. But we still see this throne in the back, correct? So she's shown seated on a throne with lotus petals at her feet. She's not seated on a lotus, she's seated on a throne. So this is just evolution. We are being able, these coins are showing us they're capturing that evolution taking place. Different types of battle axe coins here, right? Struck earlier in the reign, struck later in the reign. This coin, by the way, you know where it was found? In the present day Pakistan area. Now, they made showing that Samudragupta's armies must have reached that region, because that is where this coin was found. So during that time, we start seeing a lot of this Gupta art, starting to develop. The terracotta, we are all familiar with different terracotta sculptures we see. This is a very famous one that I'm sure many of you in the history field are familiar with. This was incorrectly at one time identified. And then, it's actually a Mahabharata scene depicting, a battle, which you're all probably familiar with. But here is the important thing. This this is not how it originally looked. This sculpture has been repaired. When you go to the National Museum Delhi and you look at this, it doesn't show you that the repair was done, but when they repaired it, they missed out a very important thing. This is a Varaha Dhwaj, right? Chandra Dhwaj again, just like we saw on coins, a Varaha Dhwaj. So this was the crack right here. You see, this crack was filled, and they actually covered up the pole that was of the Varaha, and that led them to have a different identification. Of course, that was corrected once we pointed it out. And this was not represented or understood to be a representation of goddess Lakshmi. That is actually a stem broken off of the goddess holding a lotus flower in her hand. This is a medallion that was found in the region many years back. And here we have a Balachandra Dhwaj. This is another beautiful coin. And today the description has been corrected in the National Museum. So the reason I put this up here is so you can see between coins and sculptures, they are playing off each other. And in order to fully understand our history and to fully understand what was going on at that time, we have to study all different clues that we get from coins, from numismatics, from manuscripts, from inscriptions, sculptures, right? More importantly, let's look at this in a little bit more detail. You see, this is now a cornucopia, bowl of fruit, right? But it's actually sitting on a lotus. So we see around this time, this imagery is moving away from the Kushan cornucopia. And now we are seeing the development of goddess Lakshmi and the lotus getting more prominent. In the back here, we see the lotus petals. So Samudragupta, once he consolidates his territories and has basically conquered all the neighboring kingdoms and brought stability to the kingdom, trade grows, prosperity, like we are seeing today, a revival of the interest in the long forgotten Vedic rituals and codification of the deities, and all of that is taking place. And he issues this coin called the Liris type, right? And this Liris type, beautiful representation, but more importantly, if you see, he's shown as an older monarch here. So this is struck later on. Of course, this date is not Samudragupta's reign. This is in fact where I'm estimating this coin is struck. He, of course, he was in power for 40 plus years, 340 onwards. But this is an older monarch, right? Beautifully shown that he's actually skilled in the arts, as the Allahabad pillar inscription also talks about, and he's actually playing the veena. So this is of course a confirmation of how stability had come forth in the land and his empire, that he was able to then relax as a king and distribute these coins, proclaiming that he is a master in music and poetry and whatnot. So right after Samudragupta's reign, at the end of that, we have his two sons, Ramagupta and Kachagupta. And Ramagupta and Chandragupta the second. Ramagupta is now serving at that time as the governor in Vidisha, and he's issuing the little tiny copper coins with his name on it. And then sometime along there, he takes on the name Kachagupta. And Kachagupta is we see these from coins where these gold coins have his name on it. But he doesn't have a Garud. He's not saying that he's a king of the Gupta Empire. He's basically issuing himself with the Chakradhvaj. And he is not, at this point in control of the Gupta throne. How do we know that? Because once he does take over the Gupta throne for a very short period, maybe a year, 2 years, he issues the same coins, but this is struck by the Royal Mint based on the design. It is actually has his name on it, but it also has a Garud on it, right? And it has the Chakradhvaj also. And on the back, we see the goddess is holding a lotus, right? So the confirmation is from the Garud that shows up, showing that he has taken over the throne. And a copper coin is found, which shows Kach under the horse, which has got the pennons over it, and Ashwamedha scene, and this Kach, and then it says, Rama, whatever, Maharaja, Ramagupta Maharaja. So the point here is that this propaganda play by Vishakadatta, the Devi Chandraguptam, was basically a propaganda play by Chandragupta's court to basically hide the fact that there was fratricide. He assassinated Ramagupta, took over the throne, and this is actually documented in an inscription by the Sanjan copper plates, which says that it was a shameful act. And it was this was all hidden up in this propaganda put out by the next king, Chandragupta II, to basically hide it and erased Ramagupta's name from all genealogy, all official genealogy. But because of the coins, we are able to document this. We are able to see this as something that actually happened. A picture of me at the airport. This coin, if you go to the domestic terminal and you see it on the wall, this is a coin struck by Chandragupta II, the Chhatra type. This is a gold coin of this image, and it is in the National Museum. And in the back, it says Vikramaditya, right? So Chandragupta II Chhatra type. Chandragupta also issues a coin called the Chakra Vikrama type. He's got, of course, the chakra around him. This is a very important one. He's basically showing that he is the legitimate, he has the divine right to rule over the lands. This coin is showing of course, very few of these coins are found, maybe 2 or 3. So it didn't have a big circulation. But the coin, the imagery here is talking about his divine right to rule. And of course, what do we have on the back? We have a goddess that is continuing to evolve with some representation of a lotus. This is a couch type coin struck by Chandragupta II, right? Youthful king. He's holding a flower bud in his hand, goddess seated in the back. She's got a lotus flower in her hand. And of course, it says Vikramaditya in the back. And this legend around here, on another coin, we can see more of the legend. It says Param Bhagavato Maharaja Dhiraja Shri Chandragupta. So the question comes up, how many Chandraguptas were there, right? And which Chandragupta is this, 1 or 2? This is another one, right? This is another one. A very early representation of Sri Lakshmi on the back. What's in the feet? Some lotus petals starting to appear. We see a flower, she's being held. So this is another beautiful representation. Again, a very rare coin. Right? Deva Shri Maharaj Dhiraj Shri Chandragupta Vikramaditya. And then on the back, Shri Vikrama, his Biruda. So Vikramaditya, I talked about, it was many kings used it. Almost 8 different kings used it, including some of the Gupta. At one point used Shri Vikrama as his, his coins say Parakrama, but he also has used this Birud. And so Vikramaditya was a very common term used by all kings. This is an archer type issued during Chandragupta's military expansion phase. Beautiful rendition. We always talk about, or growing up in India, I always heard about how beautiful Roman art is and Greek art is. We never got credit for our own art, which is so beautiful. I mean, just look at how difficult it is to make this pose on a coin that is exactly no more than 18 millimeter. I mean, it's a very tiny representation and such a beautiful representation of a king, right? Another coin of Chandragupta. This is a coin of Buddhagupta towards the end of the reign. Following the same design, they're holding a bow in their hands, right? And this is, of course, a coin much later struck by, Bala Migraka, right? Okay. So this is another coin, Chhatra type, Chandragupta. And then, I took an image from the Ajanta Caves painting. This is a representation at the National Museum of the scene here. And it shows the Chatras. So that's why I thought you should see it. And beautifully showing the king. What is the king doing? Ayudh Puja, right? He's at the battle. He's doing the puja. He's, this is a Havan. These are beautiful scenes captured on these tiny coins, right? Sorry, I was trying to stop this. And what do we see on the back? We see a standing goddess holding a lotus flower, Shri Vikramaditya on the back. Another coin from the military phase. This is Chandragupta slaying a lion. Well, why a lion? Remember, Chandragupta is the one who started the conquest of the Western Kshatrapas in the, western part of India, the Gujarat Kutch region. There's of course, what is most representative symbol of that region? The lions. Here he is slaying a lion. This is, confirming that he is actively involved in that. And we see copper coins and silver coins, which actually, lead coins and silver coins, which actually show us this start of this conquest. We'll see that a little later. On the back, we see this goddess. But remember, she's no longer holding a cornucopia. She's actually holding a lotus stem. So we're starting to see the early representation of a Simhavahani Lakshmi, the Durga, that imagery starting to develop, right? The Mathura pillar inscription. Now, very important, why? Because we see a Trishul here, right? And we see a Trishul, and this is what it looks like today, because for, up till a few years back, this pillar was sitting outside, getting weathered, and basically there's very little of this inscription is left. You can see very, faint traces of this, the letters there. But this inscription uses a term Kalanu Vartaman and Kalanu Vartamana Sambatsare. And what it means is, it means in the continuing time of that reign. And when you take that and extrapolate that further and look at the word Pamchami, the 5th year of the reign, of the continuing time of that reign, you can then use that. And I discussed this at length in the book, I'm just paraphrasing here, to a date of 383 AD for when Chandragupta II takes over the reign. And I'll post this chapter on Academia so everybody can have free access to it. In fact, I think I should just post the whole book. I think it'll be much easier access. But these are important clues. to show us that 380 AD is about when Chandragupta II comes to power. And just about 10 years after that, he starts the move towards the Western Kshatraps. But the books today refer to the date as 376 AD. So this is important to understand how this ties into the coins. And these are lead coins. This is the front and back of this coin. And this is, now remember, this is struck after he has captured some of the territories from the Western Kshatraps, right? And Western Kshatrap coins always had these three arch hills on the back of their coins. But he is issuing the coins with a Garud on it. So this is a Gupta coin issued by Chandragupta II. And we also see this exact same Garud which says Shri Vikrama on the back. So we know the Chandragupta II connection. And it has a date because Kshatrapa coins back then had the date on them. And this is a three arch hill back here. So we had a date in Gupta era, 81, which is 400 AD. Another coin with Garud, three arch hills, and the date is down here. So we can now date definitely when by 400 AD, he had not only captured some of the territories, but also started issuing coins in the territory, emulating the coins struck by the Western Kshatrap kings. Why is that important? Reason it is important is currency, any monetary currency only exists and is acceptable by the public if there is trust in it. And it has to be familiar. So in history, what we find is when new kings come in, they use designs from the past, successful coinage, for their own coinage. And for example, the Kushan coinage served as a prototype for the Gupta gold coins. Same thing when Chandragupta II comes into the Kshatrapa territories, he issues coin for the local use, which emulates the Kshatrapa designs. Here is, the slide is talking about the religion and what religious clues we see. We see in the gold dinars, we see, of course, here Garud, the beautiful Garud, the Vahan of Lord Vishnu. We see Shaivite influence. We see a Trishul, Kumar Gupta's coin. On the back of this coin issued by Skanda Gupta, we see a Nandi, beautiful coin. So we see at that time, they venerated all religions and they paid homage to all religions. Ramagupta's famous Tirthankara statues with his inscription name on it. So these are all showing us that they were equally, supporting the different religions here, different tenets of the religion. Silver coins, of course, have dates on it, and we have, a coin here which shows Varsha GE 90. On the lead coins, we see different dates showing us this is Skandagupta's coin, showing us 449 AD. Remember, I was talking about there's another coin with 448. So these coins continue to appear, which show us that he was in full control of that region, issuing coins in his name by 449 AD. And this is important because while we can look at inscriptions like the Junagadh inscription, and we think, okay, that's definitive, and we can definitely use that as the basis for establishing his rule. It's also important that you understand that when you're in control of the military forces, you are basically in control of the throne. Even today, Putin is running all over, ran out of Moscow because there is a coup going on today in Russia. And the military, part of the military is basically trying to overthrow Putin in Russia today. Whoever ends up controlling the military will end up basically continuing to be the power that controls that region. And just the first line in my book is history is written by the victors. And history is always written not just by the victors, but the ones who control the army and the purse. And here we know Skandagupta is issuing coins, so he must be controlling both the army and the purse. So this slide talks about uh, the find spots. And the find spots of the gold coins of the Gupta Empire show us that they are basically concentrated around Kashi, and they're in the Ujjain Vidisha region, right? And this Kota, Jaipur region, we see find spots. Now, why is this important? While we are looking at data and looking at research, it is important to understand that find spots are helpful to understand where the activity was happening. The history books talk about the capital of the Gupta Empire is Patliputra. I think that is totally wrong. Less than 1% of the coins are found in Bihar. 75% are found in UP. So either Kannauj or Kashi, that region is where the capital was, or also a second capital was definitely in the Vidisha region, because that's where we find the temples, right? We don't find temples in Patliputra. Gupta temples, majority of the temples are found here. So this is something to consider. This is a Pratiga coin of Kumar Gupta showing his coronation scene. See, beautiful coin. Another coin issued by Skandagupta, but here he is shown as very old, right? Because Chandragupta I was for about 20 odd years. Samudragupta came to throne 40 plus years. Chandragupta II came for about 25 years. Kumar Gupta, long reign, 40 plus years. By the time Skandagupta takes the throne, he is an older man. Okay. And what does the Junagadh rock inscription says? He became king and with the blessings of Lakshmi, who chose Skandagupta as her husband after rejecting all other sons of kings, right? Here's Lakshmi, she's holding a lotus in her hand. Garud in the center, the symbol of Gupta sovereignty. So, this is a beautiful representation. And if you see the symbology in here, then you start understanding what and tying together the inscriptions with imagery that you see on these coins. Aswamedha coin struck by this is Kumar Gupta one. Some other Gupta also did Aswamedhas, and quite a few coins are available from there. This is another militaristic type, Chandragupta II, with the horseman. Here he's seen the goddess seated on a throne, sort of a throne with the holding a lotus. Lion slayer of Kumar Gupta. Why? Because Kumar Gupta continued the fight against Western Kshatriyas and finally vanquished them in 415 AD. So here we have Kumar Gupta's lion type. Now we have, a lion slayer with an elephant, right? Issued by Kumar Gupta. So these are very important imagery. Lakshmi in the back right here. Another coin, rhinoceros, he's conquering the lands where rhinoceros is found. Again, we saw the Kartikeya one before. Goddess Lakshmi. Kariji, is this still okay to continue? I know I've been going on for some time.
Oh, yes, it is okay.
Okay, good. So I talked about a brief representation of gold coins, but how does it show us what happened? So the evolution of Goddess Lakshmi, I mentioned before, happened during this time, right? The codification of what a Lakshmi was supposed to hold was going on and codified during this time, the Shilpa Shastra, right? Earliest representation of, a goddess, we see a goddess seated, Gaja, the elephants here, we see this Gaja Lakshmi scene, right? 4th century BC. We see a goddess, with breasts, a throne, very tiny little silver coins, 4th century BC. We see this imagery was there, correct? Kuninda coins, showing a goddess. By the way, I also did the classification of the Kuninda coins, and it's a free book available online, documents the entire Kuninda uh, coinage. Goddess standing on a lotus representation, possibly holding a lotus, but definitely holding a lotus here, right? So we see this imagery was continuing to develop pre-Gupta, right? But we don't see her seated on a lotus, correct? This is all standing on a lotus. And then we see goddess Ardaksho appear seated on a throne. It says Ardaksho. So the Kushans were very clear. When they showed a deity on the back of their coin, they put the name there just so that everybody knew who she was. So, or whichever the deity was. So we have goddess Ardaksho right here. And of course, we see sculptures, familiar, quite famous images here. But this shows a cornucopia, right? Goddess is holding a cornucopia, not a lotus flower at this point. So how did this become this, which is Gupta dynasty, goddess seated on a lotus with a lotus flower, right? So in the National Museum, a beautiful sculpture, we see a goddess standing, and we see some hints of lotus here, right? It's been out in the weather, so a lot of it's in the front here, it's missing. But more importantly, if you look in the back, you see very important clues. You see lotus flower, lotus leaf, 2 peacocks, correct? So this is showing us confirmation that prior to this Gupta period, this Kushan, Mathura region, Kushan being the Mathura being the winter capital of the Kushans, in this region, this iconography was developing, right? So the attributes of a goddess Lakshmi are slowly being created. And we start seeing this imagery that was copied by the Kushans from the Roman coins, goddess Fortuna turning into goddess Ardaksho, same cornucopia used for their goddess Ardaksho here, then finally becomes into the first coins issued by Chandragupta I, also showing a goddess with a cornucopia, but no lotus flower and no name, right? And this starts slowly with Chandragupta II, correct? It starts with a goddess has a throne, a cornucopia, and then slowly transforms into, actually, this is a very beautiful coin. It has, look at this thread here. Only coin to show this, the sacred thread, Yajnapavitam. This is, a very important coin, because what is Chandragupta I showing us here? He's actually standing there ready for battle, right? But he's got the divine power of the goddess behind him, right? And then this is a coin struck by Samudragupta. Samudragupta's Biruda was Parakrama, but on this coin it says Shri Vikrama. So what this is a coin struck right after Samudragupta took power, but the mints were still using the old dies, Shri Vikrama of Chandragupta I. So the front, Samudragupta, and then Shri Vikrama, right? And then goddess is still seated on a throne. We see the back of the throne there, cornucopia, but Shri Vikrama. And then this is later on, he struck coins, a javelin type, and the Parakrama is shown there, but she's still seated on a throne, right? And then comes the evolution of the design of goddess Lakshmi, and slowly lotus petals start appearing. And this is a struck later in his reign, a battle axe type, right? But she's holding a bag of coins, right? Prior to this, she was just holding a pasa, right? It was a pasa, right here. But now the imagery, not only as lotus petals started appearing, but Dhana Lakshmi started appearing. This is a bag of coins, right? So this is a slow evolution of the imagery. And see, battle axe coin, cornucopia, right? And little later, again, with the lotus petals. But look at this. Wow. Lotus petals. But now she's holding a lotus flower. This happens right during the middle to end of Samudragupta's reign. Sorry. So this is history being captured on gold coins right before our eyes. Correct? Now this bud has started getting petals, lotus flowers, Dhana Lakshmi, Rajya Lakshmi, Dhana Lakshmi, Sima Vahani Lakshmi. So these are three things that are evolving during that time. Correct? So from Ardaksho goes to a goddess seated with slow evolution of petals appearing in the below the feet, coins, Dhanalakshmi, and then boom, we have a goddess that is now seated holding a lotus flower, right? Okay. So eventually, this then turns into this under Chandragupta II. So after Samudragupta, when Chandragupta takes over, we have here a goddess seated on lotus. And that is how we can capture this beautiful evolution of goddess Lakshmi during the Gupta era, as seen on these coins, right? Same thing with goddess Durga, Simhavani Lakshmi, let's call her. This is much during that Gupta period. We have a Simhavani Lakshmi with throne. Slowly, she evolves. This is goddess Nana seated on a coin of Huvishka, 150 to 190 AD. And then slowly she starts evolving into a goddess seated on a lion. And she's no longer holding a cornucopia, she's holding a lotus flower. So this evolution is taking place during that time. Beautiful coin here, holding a pasa in her hand, lotus flower here, right? So this is a slow evolution that took place about 100 years, 150 years during that early stage of Gupta dynasty. And by the time Chandragupta's reign ends, these things have pretty much been codified. These are towards the end of the Gupta Empire. You can see the coins going from this quality, to this quality. The style starts deteriorating. Now, why did I didn't pick all the Gupta kings after Skandagupta? I just picked a few just to show you some beautiful, important coins. But this is the most important coin here on the slide because it shows another Samudragupta. History books only talk about a single Samudragupta, but we had, just like we had multiple Chandraguptas, right? Chandragupta I, Chandragupta II, and later possibly another Chandragupta, right? We have Kumar Gupta I, Kumar Gupta II, Kumar Gupta III, Narasimha Gupta I, II. We have Samudragupta. History books don't talk about that. And they need to be corrected because we had a second Samudragupta, or at least a king, no matter how minor, who comes on the scene, and because of the weight, about 9.4, 9.3 gram, which would be the final weight, it shows us it was struck much later in the Gupta dynasty's later stage of their reign. And this is a Samudragupta coin. So there was two Samudraguptas. So Samudragupta of the Allahabad pillar inscription should be always referred not as Samudragupta, but Samudragupta the first. Right? We have a coin here of Prakashaditya, Kumar Gupta III, and then by the time Vishnu Gupta, around this time, 540 or so AD, the majority of the empire disintegrated. The quality and the gold content of the coin has become highly debased. The designs are basically gone and deteriorated. So this is primarily what, in a short 1 hour thing, I've given you a summary of the Gupta history and its coinage. And here I will say thank you for listening to my beautiful love affair with the coins of the Gupta Empire. And thank you for being part of it.
Thank you, sir, for your wonderful lecture. And we are really speechless after going through this variety of coins of Gupta dynasty. May I request the audience, if they have any question here, who have joined the Zoom meeting, they may ask now.
Sanjeev sir,
Please tell your name, sir.
Sanjeev sir, Basti Solanki here.
Oh, hello, Basti ji. Namaste, namaste.
I'm waiting
Fortunate
for
to
you
have
in
you
Pune.
here.
I'm waiting for you in Pune.
I will be there for sure on my next trip. I
Okay.
promise.
It is called Lion Slayer or Tiger Slayer?
Both. There is a Tiger Slayer and also a Lion Slayer. So Tiger Slayer would be the coin which had the goddess Ganga behind.
Mhm.
So Samudragupta and Kumar Gupta strike the Tiger Slayer coins, and then Lion Slayer is struck by Chandragupta II and let's see, Chandragupta II and Kumar Gupta, right? And Skandgupta also struck a Lion Slayer as very rare coins. So this is the Tiger Slayer, and we see, yeah, very, very important. And it's very,
And
this is a point, historically, it doesn't say Maharaj Dhiraja, it says Raja Samudragupta.
Raja.
Raja. Why? Because he was just a small king at that time. He had not conquered all of North India. He was not Maharaja. It says Raja Samudragupta. So these are very important that we, this book should be submitted as a PhD thesis because it's truly, even me, some of these chapters were written 10 years back. And even I today, when I read my own chapters that I'd written, I was like, wow, this was beautiful insights. And these are important because it corrects our history. So yeah, good question.
After releasing this book, after 10 years, there must be some more findings, more new chapters to be added.
So Bastiji, I am working on the second edition. And, I just had a discussion with a couple of people yesterday even. I don't want to put out a book anymore it's so expensive. I'm really thinking of just maybe either putting it out at a very nominal book or an e-book, so students and for 499 rupees or something. I mean, this book is selling for 10,000 rupees, 15,000 rupees on Amazon. Of course, it's a very book, about 450 pages, all color and beautiful art paper and whatnot. But the historical research, I'm thinking I'm just going to take those chapters and put them for free on academia so everybody can have access on it, because it truly needs to be shared.
That is correct, because what happened, that 5,000 rupees book, last book, your book,
Correct.
is cannot be purchased everybody.
Yes, I realize that. So I am, and this is my goal to get that done soon.
Most of the coins of Guptas are on what do you call the horse rider or something. Elephant rider is very few.
Correct.
Why it is?
For example, when there is no easy answer to this, but the one way to look at it is the most common coins within a king's reign were always coins that were very important to the message for the king. The most important coin during Samudragupta's time is the javelin type. Thousands of those coins are there. A tiger slave, maybe 15, 20 pieces. And the reason that have been found. So under Chandragupta II's time, archer type was the most common. Under Kumar Gupta's time, it is the horseman type, right? Why horseman? Because he was out there conquering and expanding the empire, and this was again a very important, very important element of the war machine. So they basically minted coins that were in quantity. The coins that were struck in most quantity were coins that were important to give the message out there, their version of propaganda, and also probably most commonly accepted by the people. So that is why I think in Gajalakshmi, the elephant slayer, very few coins were struck. Maybe they were struck only. Remember, Kumar Gupta's he came to power around 409, which is documented in silver, in inscriptions, and also in silver coins, the date. And then by 415, he had vanquished the last of the Kshatriya kings. So there wasn't really too much time period. So this was probably done at that time to, basically when he basically put down the final Kshatriya king there, and then basically that was a coin struck for that. Just speculation, but that's possibly what the symbology here is.
Because in this field, elephant rider, rhino slayer, and third one is that the very rare coin.
Yeah, the
Three coins.
Apratika.
Apratika.
Pratega, there's one in my collection, and there's 2, 3, 4 in the museums, and that's pretty much
One was by mistake. I was sold that one coin.
it.
Long back. It was long back.
That's it.
I have that very good condition and very good coin, but by
Very nice.
mistake it was sold because I had not the idea about the importance of that coin.
Well, now
That's
everybody with the book has got a PhD, so everybody now knows the importance of these
After your
coins.
book, when I read your book, I got the idea that what I had missed.
चलो अगर आपके भाग्य में लिखा है जरूर आएगा वापस. Don't worry.
आएगा. Because I
am a firm believer of that.
I had seen Rhino Slayer, I had seen Elephant Rider, everything
Yes.
I had seen with this one. But
Pratika.
Aparajita also I had my own.
Yeah.
Yeah. These two coins I never purchased.
Yeah.
Chalo.
Another
All the
rare
best
coin
and
was the
very good-
Ashwamedha
Very
coin.
good lecture, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
A treat for me.
Thank you.
Any more want to ask?
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Yeah, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for delivering such a lovely lecture. As always, it's always a pleasure to hear you. So, just have a couple of questions which were, lurking on my mind. So there are a couple of points which are, couple of points in the sense there are many points which have come up with a date 90 on the silver issues of Kumar Gupta as well as Chandragupta II. So, what exactly was the significance for using the same date on two different rulers of the same dynasty? And
Well,
just
they're
another question.
both concurrently issuing coins in the same area. One is, remember, you're talking about the transition. This is a transition time between Chandragupta to Kumar Gupta, correct?
Yeah.
Gupta era date
correct.
90 silver
Yeah,
coin. So they're both mints are basically issuing this coins during that period of whether it's a few months or few days or a few weeks during which that transition was taking place. Remember, this is not internet. That message goes by instantly. A messenger on the horse shows up in all the way from Kashi to takes him 3 days to ride to wherever in Junagadh, wherever the Gupta mints were, and telling them, hey, by the way, now issue coins for the son Kumar Gupta. So it takes time. Look, think about an army marching, Chandragupta II marching against Western Kshatrips. Now remember, Samudragupta left them alone. Samudragupta did not attack and go after the Kshatriya kings, right? Why? Because they controlled the ports. And you cannot have good trade in your empire if the ports are closed off. And the ports were under the control of the Western Kshatrapas, and the trade routes crisscrossed through Vidisha, right? North, south, east, west, the trade routes went right through the center of the country. But all Gupta kings posted there either their son or their brother as the governor of Vidisha, right? Every Gupta king had their brother or their son sitting as governor of Vidisha. And they controlled Vidisha because if they controlled the trade routes, north, south, east, west, all the trade routes crisscross there, they controlled trade, and that is how they kept control, right? You have to have money to pay the armies. Now imagine Chandragupta's power base sitting in Kashi has to march an army of elephants and horses and thousands of men to go after the Kshatrap kings. It doesn't happen in a year. It takes a long time to move resources and camps and all the way on the way. So that is why, probably the conquest of the Kshatrapas starts around late 390 or so. And by 398, he has captured some of those regions and established himself, and then starts issuing. That's why we have earliest coin, I think, is 398 AD with the date of Kshatrapa. And then he only lasts on the throne not too long after that, 10 years or so, because 409, we start seeing coins of Kumar Gupta. So during this transition time, mints were issuing, coins. And we don't know at this point, I can't remember the coins. I have to look at that, the images. Maybe they're struck by two different mints. We don't know that. So that hopefully that answers your question.
So just another second question, if time permits. So there is that Ghatotkaч Gupta coin of Madhya Desha type, which has come to light. So are they so rare that there's only one or two known specimens, or are there more, but they're not just documented or still lying in the museums archives, but not yet kind of deciphered properly?
Right now, we only have, I think, one published.
Yeah.
Whether or not there are more, we'll find out as they come forward. Ghatotkaч, as you know, was posted in Vidisha, who Skandagupta killed in the battle, basically. So for a short time, he issued those Madhya Desha coins, whether it was for a year or 3 years, we don't know. So I'm sure there are more coins that will show up. I do write about this particular subject in the book also, and I do, state that I'm looking forward to new coins being found, and there is another new coin that has been found. I can't talk about it right now because another author he shared his book manuscript with me, but I'll wait for the book to come out. So history is getting added to as new finds come, and we hope that people will continue doing this research to continue adding to our treasure trove.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot for answering all of the questions. Pleasure.
Welcome.
Thank you, Sanjeev ji, for giving this thoughtful lecture and also answering the questions that were asked by audience. So I thank you once again for delivering this lecture, Dr. Shobhana Gokhale Memorial Lecture for 2023. I also thank Dr. Anjali Phadke, daughter of Dr. Shobhana Gokhale, who is present here. And because of her support, it is possible for us to arrange these lecture series every year. So I also thank her for her participation as well as strong support given to Samvidya Institute of Cultural Studies. I think that this lecture will be available on Facebook and also on YouTube. So maybe if there are any questions that can also appear in the link afterwards. And actually, we are very fortunate to have you, and we are also looking forward to revised edition of your book, because as you have recently observed that whatever new finds are coming in light, they will definitely add to our knowledge of Gupta dynasty, and much of the contribution has also been given to you. So we are looking forward to your views on these recent findings. Thank you. Thanks a lot, sir, for delivering the
Thank you very much. I appreciate your inviting me. Thank you.
Thank you. And with these words, now I declare the session is over. We will stop the broadcasting now. Thank you.